everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into some awesome Nintendo Switch games?
Always ready for that.
I'm especially excited about this deep dive. We're talking about those games that snuck up on everybody, The ones that maybe didn't have the biggest hype, but totally blew us away.
Yeah, like hidden gems. They totally surpassed expectations.
Exactly. We're going off an article from Rant called 7 Nintendo Switch Games That Surpassed Expectations Ranked. And I gotta say, it's a pretty solid list.
Oh, for sure. Some real surprises on there.
What I'm really interested in, though, is the why. Why did these games, defy all expectations? What made them so special?
That's a good question. I think part of it is that element of surprise. When you go in without a ton of expectations and then it turns out to be amazing.
So you get that extra wow factor.
Exactly, like discovering buried treasure or something.
Okay, love that analogy. So let's crack open this treasure chest and see what we've got. First up, Astral Chain.
Oh yeah, Astral Chain.
Now, full disclosure, this one didn't grab me right away. The trailers didn't do much for me.
I get it. The first reveal was, well, a little underwhelming.
But then I heard all this buzz about the combat. People were raving about it.
Oh, the combat system in Astral Chain is phenomenal. Really unique.
So what makes it so special? Break it down for me.
It's all about the dual character control.
Yeah.
You control your main character and this thing called a Legion. Basically, it's like an AI companion. But, and here's the kicker, you control both at the same time.
Wow, both at the same time. Seems like a lot to juggle.
It is. But that's where the magic happens. You're chaining attacks together, using the Legion to grapple enemies. You can even use the chain connecting you two to, trip them up.
No way. That's wild. So it's not just button mashing. There's real strategy involved.
Absolutely. It's super fluid, dynamic, and challenging. Platinum games, they always deliver on that stylish action.
Totally. Okay, this is definitely a game that proves you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, or in this case, a game by its trailer. All right. Moving on to a game that, well, let's just say it raised a few eyebrows when it was announced. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh, I remember that announcement. I was like, what?
Same here. I mean, Mario and Rabbids, what is going on here?
Such an unexpected combo.
But somehow it worked.
It did. And brilliantly, I might add.
I'm still a bit skeptical. How do you even blend the Rabbids, with the whole Mario universe and make it a tactical strategy game on top of that?
Honestly, it's the humor. They nailed it.
Yeah.
Captured both franchises perfectly. And gameplay-wise, they took those classic tactical RPG mechanics, turn-based combat, grid movement, character abilities, and polished it to a shine.
So, not just a reskin strategy game. They really made it a Mario and Rabbids thing.
Exactly. Each character's got these unique abilities. The weapons play off each other. You got Mario with his blaster, Luigi the sniper, Ratted Peach with her healing. Plus, the level design is amazing. Puzzles, secrets. It's challenging, but super fun.
You're making me want to give it a shot.
You should. It's really a testament to taking a risk and seeing it pay off.
Okay, on to a franchise near and dear to my heart. Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem, 3 houses. I mean, this one took a big swing, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Fire Emblem has always been about that tactical combat and character relationships, but 3 houses cranked it up a notch.
Absolutely.
The older games, the relationship building was pretty basic, just dialogue here and there.
Yeah, it was a little surface level.
But 3 houses changed all that.
Right. They introduced the monastery. It's this big explorable hub where you can hang out with your students outside of battles, actually get to know them, teach them, train them, even cook with them.
So it's way more in-depth than just clicking through dialogue options. You're actually building relationships.
Exactly. You're forming these bonds, and it affects the whole gameplay experience. You're out there on the battlefield, permadeath looming, and it's like you're fighting with people you actually care about.
Whoa. Yeah. That's a whole other level of emotional investment.
It adds so much weight to everything.
I'm seeing a theme here. All these games that surprised everyone, they took what we knew and added this extra layer, this twist that made them exceptional. Okay, up next, Triangle Strategy. Full confession, I haven't played this one yet.
You're missing out.
Tell me everything. What makes it so special?
Well, it's another tactical RPG, but the thing about Triangle Strategy is choices. You make these tough decisions that have real consequences, impact the story, relationships, even the fate of the entire kingdom.
Oh, I remember seeing that voting system in the trailers. Your party would debate what to do. Was that a gimmick or did it actually matter?
No, it was far from a gimmick. The choices you make really do shape everything. There are different paths, endings, betrayals even, all because of what you decide.
Wow, so it's not just about winning battles, it's about navigating this complex world of politics and morality.
Exactly. Makes you think critically. And the combat, amazing. Takes inspiration from classics like Final Fantasy Tactics,
Hmm.
but it also has its own unique mechanics.
Mm.
Flanking, elemental weaknesses, you got to think strategically.
Okay, triangle strategy is officially on my list. Now let's talk Splatoon, Splatoon 3 specifically. When it was announced, part of me was like, do we really need another one? Splatoon 2 was so good.
I get it. I had the same thought. Splatoon 2 is fantastic, but you know what? Nintendo did it again. They made it feel fresh, even for veteran players.
Okay, I'm listening. What did they do to make it feel like more than just, a rehash?
Well, for one, they introduced these brand new movement mechanics. Squid Surge, which lets you swim up walls super fast, and then Squid Roll, where you dodge enemy fire with this cool roll.
Sounds interesting. But how much do those really change the gameplay? Are we talking subtle tweaks or like a whole new game?
Not subtle at all. Squid Surge adds this whole vertical element to battle, so you can reach vantage points, flank enemies, and the Squid Roll is a lifesaver in close combat.
So it's not just about spraying ink anymore. It's about mastering movement and outsmarting your opponents.
Precisely. Plus, there are tons of new weapons, maps, abilities. They even brought back some classic maps from the previous games, but with new twists.
It sounds like they took everything that made Splatoon 2 great and then cranked it up to 11. All right, Splatoon 3 is back on my radar. Okay. How do you top a game like Super Mario Maker? The original was groundbreaking, letting players create their own Mario levels. How do you follow that?
That's what everyone thought. But leave it to Nintendo to figure it out. Super Mario Maker 2, it took everything from the original and somehow made it even better.
All right, give me the highlights. What did they add?
The big one, the Super Mario 3D World style. It brought a whole new dimension to level creation, literally.
Whoa, so you could build levels with the clear pipes, cat suits, those crazy Mauser enemies?
All of it. Plus, new gameplay mechanics, slopes,
Mm-hmm.
on-off switches, moving platforms. It completely opened up the possibilities.
That's amazing. It's like they gave players the ultimate toolbox for making Mario levels.
For sure. And the online features got a huge upgrade too. Sharing levels is super easy, and finding new ones is a breeze. There's online multiplayer, co-op versus. It's the definitive Mario Maker experience.
Wow. Sounds like they pulled out all the stops. Okay, now we come to the big one. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. This game had some serious weight on its shoulders.
Oh yeah. Breath of the Wild set a high bar. A really high bar.
I gotta admit, when the first trailers dropped, I was a little worried. It looked fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it also felt familiar.
Like Breath of the Wild 1.5.
Exactly. But then they revealed the fuse mechanic.
Game changer.
And everything changed.
The fuse mechanic is honestly the most innovative thing to hit Zelda in a long time. You combine stuff you find in Hyrule to create new tools, weapons, even vehicles.
Wait, hold on. You're saying I can just take random stuff and stick it together?
Pretty much. Logs to make bridges, rockets on shields to fly. I even saw someone make a hot air balloon out of a leaf in a campfire.
No way. That's incredible. So it's not just about finding pre-made items anymore. You actually use your creativity to solve problems.
Exactly. It changes everything about how you explore, how you fight, how you solve puzzles. Constant experimentation, discovery. It's amazing.
Okay, you had me at hot air balloon made of a leaf. So the fuse mechanic is brilliant, but what about the world? Any big changes to Hyrule?
Absolutely. There are these floating islands, the Sky Islands, adding this whole vertical layer. And then you have the depths, underground areas packed with challenges and secrets.
So it's not just a bigger map, it's a completely reimagined Hyrule.
Exactly. New challenges, new environments. They took everything great about Breath of the Wild and somehow made it even better.
This has been awesome. We've talked about 5 games that truly defied expectations, and each one offered something unique and special. What about you all out there? What games on this list have you played, and did they live up to the hype? Let us know on social media.
And be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll take an even deeper dive into what made these games so successful.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm still thinking about all those awesome games we talked about.
Me too. It's amazing how they managed to, surprise everyone and become some of our favorites.
It really shows you how creative and talented the folks making these games are.
Okay, so let's dig into the why. Why did these games blow past expectations? What was their secret sauce?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is how willing they were to try new things, take risks, really push those boundaries, even within established franchises.
Yeah, that's a great point, like Astral Chain. Platinum Games, they took their signature action style and added that whole dual character control thing.
Yeah.
It completely changed the game.
For sure. They could have easily just made another stylish action game with a single character. But no, they went for something different, innovative.
And that's what made Astral Chain so memorable. It wasn't just more of the same, it was a whole new take on the genre.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to take risks. Even if it doesn't always work out perfectly, trying something new can lead to something truly amazing.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I mean, come on, nobody saw that one coming, right?
Nope, not at all. Who would have thought a strategy RPG with Mario and the Rabbids would be so good?
It's like the most bizarre concept ever, but they somehow made it work.
And not just work, it was fantastic. I think what really impressed me was how well they blended those two worlds together. The Rabbids and the Mario universe.
Yeah, it felt so natural, like they were meant to be together. The humor was perfect, the gameplay was addictive, and the world felt both familiar and new at the same time.
Totally. They didn't just throw these two things together and hope for the best. They really put in the effort to create something unique and special.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the craziest ideas can be the best ones. Okay, let's move on to Fire Emblem. Three Houses. Now, this one took a beloved franchise and really shook things up.
Oh yeah, they went all out with this one.
Fire Emblem has always had that tactical combat and the focus on characters, but Three Houses added this whole other layer,
Totally.
the monastery. That was a game changer.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember the older games? The relationship building was pretty basic.
Yeah, just little bits of dialogue here and there.
Right, but in Three Houses, you could really spend time with your students, actually get to know them, build these strong bonds.
And that changed the whole feel of the game.
Big time. It's like you're not just commanding units on a battlefield anymore. You're leading people you actually care about.
And when you're out there fighting, knowing that any of them could die permanently.
Man, the stakes are so much higher.
Right. It adds this whole emotional weight to the experience.
Okay, let's talk triangle strategy. This one really surprised me with its focus on choices and how those choices can have some pretty big consequences.
Oh, triangle strategy is all about choices.
Yeah.
Every decision you make can ripple throughout the story, change relationships, even affect the fate of the kingdom.
It's like you're actually shaping the world around you with your actions.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember that voting system they showed off in the trailers. Your party would debate what to do, and I thought, well, that's a neat little gimmick. But man, was I wrong.
Yeah, those choices were anything but a gimmick. They had a real impact.
They really did. And the cool thing is, there are so many different paths and endings, all based on the choices you make. It really makes you think carefully about every decision.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure, but with way higher stakes. And on top of all that, the combat system is really well designed, too.
Oh, yeah. It takes inspiration from classics like Final Fantasy Tactics, but also adds its own unique twists. Flanking, elemental weaknesses, terrain advantages. You really got to think strategically.
Okay, on to Splatoon 3. When this one was announced, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure we needed another Splatoon game.
Right. Splatoon 2 was already so good, it felt like a complete package.
Yeah. But Nintendo, they surprised us again. They found a way to make Splatoon 3 feel fresh and new.
Totally. They added those new movement options, like the squid surge and the squid roll. Those really changed how you approach combat.
Yeah. Squid Surge, that's the one where you can quickly swim up walls, right?
Yep. It adds a whole new vertical element to the battles. You can reach vantage points, flank enemies in ways you couldn't before.
And the squid roll, that's for dodging enemy attacks with a stylish roll.
Exactly. It's a lifesaver in those close-quarters firefights. Plus, they added a bunch of new weapons, maps, and special abilities, too.
It sounds like they took everything great about Splatoon 2 and just cranked it up a notch.
They really did. Splatoon 3 is a great example of how to make a sequel that feels both familiar and excitingly new at the same time.
Okay, now on to a game that had some pretty big shoes to fill. Super Mario Maker 2. I mean, the original Super Mario Maker was a revolution. Players could make their own Mario levels. It was amazing.
Seriously, it was such a cool concept and it was executed so well. It was hard to imagine how they could top it.
Right, but they did. Super Mario Maker 2, they took everything from the original and expanded on it in ways I never thought possible.
They really went above and beyond. One of the biggest additions was the Super Mario 3D World style.
Oh yeah, now you could create levels using elements from 3D World?
Exactly. Clear pipes, cat suits, all those wacky enemies. It was like a whole new toolbox for level creation.
It's incredible how many options they gave players. It's like, if you can dream it, you can build it.
For sure. And on top of all that, they made a ton of improvements to the online features. Sharing levels is super easy, and finding new ones to play is a breeze.
So it's not just about creating awesome levels, it's about sharing them with the world and playing levels made by other people.
It's that sense of community that really makes Super Mario Maker 2 special.
Okay, now for the big one. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. This game had a lot to live up to.
Breath of the Wild was a masterpiece. It set a new standard for open-world games. It was going to be tough to follow that up.
I remember when those first trailers came out, I was a little worried. It looked amazing, don't get me wrong, but it also felt a bit familiar.
Right, like Breath of the Wild, but more of it.
Exactly. But then they revealed the fuse mechanic, and everything changed.
The fuse mechanic is a game changer, literally. It completely changes how you play the game. It's all about combining items to create new tools, weapons, even vehicles.
Okay, that sounds wild. Give me some examples. What kind of crazy stuff can you create with this
Wow.
fuse thing?
Oh man, where do I even begin? You can fuse logs together to make bridges, attach rockets to your shield to fly around, combine different weapons to create these crazy new attacks.
Wait, hold on. Rockets on a shield.
Yep, you can fly around with it. It's
Yeah.
crazy. The possibilities are practically endless. It's all about experimenting and see what you can come up with.
This fuse mechanic sounds like pure genius. It's like they took the whole concept of creativity and problem solving to a whole new level.
Totally. It encourages you to think outside the box, to try new things, to experiment. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they made some big changes to the world itself, too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, you've got these floating islands in the sky called the Sky Islands. And then there are these underground areas called the depths. Like they added 2 whole new layers to Hyrule.
So it's not just about exploring the same world from Breath of the Wild. There's all this new stuff to discover.
Exactly. Tears of the Kingdom, it takes everything that was great about Breath of the Wild and expands on it in some really amazing ways.
So we've talked about the games, what made them special. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about what we can learn from them.
I like where you're going with this.
These games aren't just fun to play. They also offer some valuable lessons about creativity, about taking risks, about pushing boundaries. What do you think? Welcome back to the deep dive. We spent the last 2 parts talking about these Nintendo Switch games that blew everyone away.
Games that went above and beyond expectations. It's been awesome going through them.
Totally. But, it's more than just talking about video games, right?
For sure.
I think there are some real lessons here about creativity, about taking risks, about pushing boundaries and finding those moments of joy. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think one of the big takeaways is, well, sometimes the best things are the ones you don't see coming.
Right. It's like when you find that amazing little hole-in-the-wall restaurant you never knew existed, or you hear a song for the first time that just blows you away. It's that element of surprise that makes it so special.
Absolutely. And that's something we can all apply to life, right?
Totally. Whether it's trying new foods, reading a book outside your normal genre, or even just taking a different route to work.
Yeah, stepping outside that comfort zone can lead to some pretty incredible discoveries.
And these games, there's the perfect example. I mean, who would have thought a tactical RPG with Mario and Rabbids would work?
I know. Or that the fuse mechanic in Tears of the Kingdom would completely change how we think about Zelda games.
It's like the developer said, hey, let's try something completely different, and they totally nailed it.
And that's a lesson we can all take to heart. Doesn't matter what you do, whether you're an artist, a musician, a writer, don't be afraid to experiment.
Don't be afraid to take risks.
Yeah. Sometimes those risks pay off in a big way.
Another thing these games show us is the importance of iteration and refinement.
Definitely. They didn't just settle for good enough. They kept pushing, kept polishing, kept adding those little details that make a big difference.
Like Splatoon 3, it could have easily been a small update to Splatoon 2. But Nintendo took the time to introduce new mechanics, new weapons, and new maps.
They refined the core gameplay, and it shows. They wanted to create something truly special, and I think they succeeded.
Yeah, I agree. It's about respecting the players, giving them the best possible experience.
Absolutely. It's something we can all apply to our own work no matter what we do. Take pride in what you create. Keep trying to make it better.
Never settle. And finally, I think these games highlight the power of community. Well, for sure. Games like Super Mario Maker 2 and Splatoon 3, they thrive on player contributions. It's that shared experience that makes them so special.
I love finding those amazing custom levels in Super Mario Maker 2. It's like you get a glimpse into someone else's creativity.
And you're part of this huge community of people who all share the same passion.
It's a really cool feeling.
So find those communities that resonate with you. Connect with people who share your interests, collaborate, share your own creations.
Because amazing things happen when we come together.
Totally agree. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway? What do you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. The next time you encounter something that seems familiar, something that doesn't immediately grab you, take a closer look.
Like, don't dismiss it right away. Give it a chance.
Exactly. Because you never know. You might discover something truly amazing, something you never expected to enjoy.
So stay curious, keep an open mind, and keep exploring.
And never stop playing.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.